question?
Yeah.
This is an interesting question because at different times in my business it's meant different things, or it's been different things. In the beginning, I don't forget, and maybe some of you share the same situation now, is I was in a city that I didn't know anybody. I hadn't gone to school in, I didn't play sports in, I had no family, I had no connections, and I really wasn't connected to that city or community in any way at all. So
What jail did you get out of?
So the real challenge was just trying to get myself into the marketplace, and how do I go about doing that without a, or basically doing it on a shoestring budget and getting myself up and running and gaining the momentum you need to get going to establish the database. So certainly your sphere of influence, so everyone should know 100, 150 people, and it's great advice that Dill gave, is just to get out there and let people know that you are in real estate, and share that with friends and family, and then from there obviously the database is huge. And I realize that more and more because there's been a lot of occasions where I haven't kept the database up and running, and I can't stress the importance of that, just to keep connected with people. We spend more money trying to recruit people to work with us than we do to keep the people we already have. So I think that's one of the best pieces of advice, is to get going on the database. And two, you have to be extremely organized and focused, and you have to have game plans. So knowing what you want out of your business. Not everybody wants to be a $1 million top producer. So defining success on your own terms, I think, is very important. If that means work and family balance. I'm the father of a very, very energetic and busy 4.5-year-old boy. So now that he's getting older, I'm feeling now that more inclined to grow my business, because I hadn't wanted to be honest with you, because I want to spend the time with him. So I guess starting with the end in mind, where you want to go, and putting the foundation in place is key. And like Tim said too, follow up, follow up, follow up. I know I've talked with Jeff, who's just getting going too. And sometimes we put a limiting belief on ourselves that we're pestering people. Well, sometimes they don't need you till they need you. So stay persistent with it, follow up on all your leads, and be diligent, and wait until they let you know that they're not interested, because otherwise it could just be a matter of timing. They may not be ready and life's busy, so just keep on top of it. Sir. Yeah. Same question? Well, I'm still looking for the radical growth part right now. Can I get, by show of hands, how many people have been in the business for 2 years or less right now? So maybe just under half. And how about 5 years or less? Okay. So I can only go on my own experience, but I think probably one of the first challenges you're going to have when you're beginning is as Tim said, is having an identity out there. So I think just branding, and also choosing what you want to specialize in, just as a starting point, just to get a toehold in the marketplace. So depending on your local market area or wherever you're working, you might want to focus in on one specific neighborhood, for example. Pick that as your spot. Know everything there is to know about it. Know the values, know the home builders, know the different styles, know the price ranges, and be someone who's informed about it, just so that you can come off as more confident and knowledgeable when you have prospective buyers. And then maybe look at doing open houses in those areas, or doing flyers in the areas, door knock in the areas. And again, I'm just going back on that, maybe you don't have a really big budget to start things off with, because over time you can reinvest in your business. But as a starting point, all of those things are great, and getting involved in that community as well. So maybe it's your gym, and it's just letting people know. Like Tim alluded to, I guess when the market was hot, we used to have a trainer said anyone who could fog a mirror could sell real estate, right? And that's pretty much the way it was. All boats would float when the tide was high. But over time, you're going to find that you need to have more of a strategy and game plan. And I think learning and mentorship is great. Like here on the panel, for example, I'd love to pick the brains of these fellows, because it's funny in real estate, in some offices, people are very cloak and dagger with sharing information. But there's also as many people out there who are willing to share their experience and their knowledge. And being smart enough to recognize the opportunities to tap into that and listen. Not everything's going to work for you. You're going to have to tailor things that work the way you work and do business your way. But there's a wealth of resources around you. And from a starting point, I just think it comes back to having a focus on, don't try to do everything all at one starting point. You've got to, start off in little steps, because it can become very overwhelming. So little by little, and as you get your momentum, you'll figure out what pieces to pick up based on where you're at in your business at that point in time. And I'm going through that too. I don't have the experience of someone who's been in as long as these gentlemen. But, you know, for me, it's different things at different times in my business. So you always have to be mindful of where you're at, what you need, and try to shadow or mentor with someone who's doing what you want to do, and they're that, you know, 1 or 2 steps ahead of you in the game. And always look for that feedback and insight because it's invaluable. So.
We'll do the same question. How do you generate most of your business?
My business is primarily generated through repeat and referral and farm area. I've tried a variety of different marketing tools and techniques and things from geographic mailers to door knocking. When I first started, I mentioned I didn't have a sphere of influence at all. So I remember I bought myself a headset and I had 2 monitors on my computer, and I had one that was a reverse lookup 4011, and then I would look to see what had recently sold. And I literally made 100 phone calls every day. And I would just track any leads and anybody who said, yeah, we're not thinking now, but down the road. And, you know, once in a while, and it did happen several times, I'd get someone who said, yeah, we're actually looking at selling now. So that's kind of how I started out. But again, I just tie this question to a variety of factors. It's where you're at in the business, what you want your business to be. I'm always mentoring and talking to people and trying to learn and grow and try different things. I know some agents who send out 35,000 mailers a month, and they do that consistently, and they do the newspaper, and from that they get a lot of really good traction and visibility. And they're running those types of businesses. And I've tried some different things. I've got a YouTube channel I do. So I do a video tour in high def for all of my property listings. I market the site. I've tried to differentiate my marketing a little bit by doing the back of the bus, which no one at the time was doing. As well as the side of a bus. And I've got a floor decal at the local mall at the bottom of the escalator. So just different things, and all with the aim of trying to drive traffic and create brand awareness. And one of the things I've concentrated on is actually brand consistency. So my signage, everything ties into the brand so that it's more recognizable and people, you know, begin to notice seeing them around. Like you mentioned, signs. My signs are a little bit more distinct, so that's really worked in my favor as well. And I've gone in on listings or do CMAs for clients or prospects, and they'll basically say they've seen my stuff around. So, yeah, basically, that's kind of how I got going with it anyways.
So did you pick a farm area when you first started in the business?
Just
specialize in a certain
no, you know what I did, and that's a good point. It's an excellent point, actually, is because I didn't focus my business in one specific area. When I started, I did everywhere. So I went where the business took me. But in retrospect, what I really should have done is, as I mentioned previously, is really establish a foothold in one specific market area, know it inside and out, and once you get going and you get yourself rolling in that area, no one can touch you because people start to rely on you as that area expert. And you know, you can back it up with the results and performance you've achieved in the area, but also with the knowledge and information you have. And you become an excellent resource. And then you find that other agents will call you and ask you if you have any inventory coming up and that sort of thing. So, yeah. So I would definitely focus in on, you know, what there's people out there who want to be listing agents. There's people out there who want to be buyer agents. It could be they're busy at home with a family and they want to get out, you know, 4 or 5 times a week and run with buyer clients, or whatever you want it to be. So you need to know what that is and what your strengths are as well, and focus on those.
And I think it's good advice for the newer agents in here. I mean, for the experienced agents, if I said, who's the Stanley Park expert in our city, or the Laurelwood expert, or the Forest Heights expert, most of us probably couldn't think of a name. Maybe we could think of one name for one of the areas, but people haven't really raised their hand and said, I'm the expert in that neighborhood, or I'm the expert for investment real estate, or I'm the expert for investment real estate if you're buying triplexes. So to specialize where people will seek you out eventually is great advice, and I've done that to a degree in my business.